What's up, Twitch and YouTube? It's MurphyD55 coming to you with another episode of The Northern, and we got a goated panel of Madden Twitch streamers in the chat today to share their NBA knowledge. So we're switching things up. We're not going pure football today. We're going a little bit of around the NBA action. In the top left-hand corner there, we got my man, BigSov. Sov, how are you doing tonight, my guy? I appreciate you coming in on such short notice and making this happen.
I'm doing good, Murph. I appreciate you inviting me on here with some lovely other people.
Hey, absolutely, my dude. Hey, it's my pleasure, and I always love collaborating with someone for the first time. We got a couple first-time collab guys here. We'll go down to the bottom now. We got my guy Lominattii, another person that I've known Lominattii for a long time. He dominates my TikTok feed like nobody else. I get more Lominattii TikTok like updates than anybody, man. You've discovered the algorithm. You got to share that with me off stream. But Lominattii, how are you doing today, my guy?
Hey man, I'm chilling. I'm ready. I'm ready to go flu game Jordan on them. We here. We ready for the basketball talk. Go Knicks.
Let's go. And I don't know about this, having two Knicks fans on the bottom together here. I feel outnumbered. I feel a little bit outnumbered. What's going on, KingKov? KingKov's no stranger. He's already been on the Northern before. So this is
this is actually my third time being on the stream for the podcast, bro. I'm starting to think that, we got that connection, bro.
I'm starting to think I might have to start paying you or something, to be honest, at this point. You're becoming a regular.
I got to start getting paid for weekend leagues and being on podcasts, man. I'm here for it.
Speaking of which, Kov, I might have to throw you my weekend league this weekend. If you're looking for a third or fourth weekend league, you can take mine. I'm done. I'm done with it. I suck this week.
Over, man.
Hey, let's go. Appreciate you coming through, Kov. And we got my guy, DK Nice, who started things off with an absolute bang with the massive raid. DK, how was the stream today, man? And how are you doing tonight? Appreciate you coming through.
Stream was a blessing, good as always. And having a great night so far, man. Ready to talk some basketball. I don't know.
Let's go.
This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Football I kind of got into late. Yeah. I know a lot about basketball, so this is going to be something new and fun.
Let's go. I thought as soon as and you guys know I recently started doing these sports streams, so you'll notice it's not in the Madden directory. First time I think I've done a podcast not in the Madden directory, so we'll see how that goes. But when I thought about sports fans, I know that on the podcast that me and Kov had, we talk sports for a long time. I know DK, you're one of the most knowledgeable guys, not just with your parlays and stuff, but you got knowledge of every sport. You're even learning hockey now, so trust me, I'm going to be sending out some invites if we ever do any more of these sports things. 100%. But let's get started here, guys. We've got some hot topics here. And I appreciate everybody coming through and hanging out in the chat. We got Dally Gonzo, Luch412, Soberisi. We got a whole bunch of legends here. But let's start off here, guys, with the home team rundown. So maybe we'll start off with BigSov in the corner. You can tell me what team you root for personally and what your assessment is of their season to this date. So, Sov, we'll start things off with you, my dude.
Well, I'm a big Celtics fan.
Let's go.
Ew.
So far we're looking pretty decent. Tatum's balling out. We've been hot here recently, so
yeah,
looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, I think did Tatum put up like a 50+ point game just last week? I think?
Yeah, over the weekend. Yeah.
Crazy, man. And they got Jaylen Brown. They've got
Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart.
Yeah, they were looking like a couple years ago, it looked like they were definitely going to make a run like for the Eastern Conference Finals or potentially making an appearance. And then they kind of fell off last season a little bit. And right now, though, they're on fire, man. They're like blowing out opponents, looking really, really dangerous. Definitely a team that I don't want my Raptors to have to go against for sure. DK, what about you? What team do you root for? I know you're a Jags fan in football, but what about for the NBA?
See, we're definitely on the other end of things when it comes to the NBA. Suns fan.
Let's go.
That's right.
Let's go.
Different.
That's right.
Guy A, and we got to re-sign him though. That's big on our to-do list when it comes to this upcoming offseason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Booker, that team it was nice to see. Like started from the bottom. They weren't very good.
Yeah.
It was just Booker when he was young, and then just to see the pieces kind of form around that team, and they were all homegrown. Wasn't really any trades. Chris Paul was, the biggest glue guy.
Yeah.
And we know that he's like an MVP-ish type caliber guy, just in terms of the value that he has. For the team.
Exactly. Not like the numbers aren't what they were in Chris Paul's prime, but you're right. Like he's calling him a glue guy is absolutely true. Like I honestly thought that he was probably I didn't know if he'd be retired by this point in his career or what, but he kind of found and I thought that he wasn't maybe happy with the move to the Suns in the first place, thinking, oh yeah, they're not contenders, it's a rebuilding young team, and then look at them now, best record in the Western Conference. One of the teams that I really thought was just a flash in the pan. I thought them making the finals was a fluke. I didn't realize they were this good. So definitely an exciting team. We'll talk more about pretenders, contenders later on in the stream. But we got 2 Knicks fans on the bottom here now, so I want to hear the differing or the opinions right now from KingKov first, and then Lominattii. Lominattii, how are you feeling about the Knicks this year?
Listen, man, huge disappointment. I keep saying Tom Thibodeau is a Gotham villain. He is the Penguin from Batman. Y'all saw R.J. Barrett in the new Batman movie. I mean, listen, Thibs is a war criminal. They need to enact the Geneva Convention against him. But the future's bright. We have a lot of expiring contracts coming up. Alec Burks, Derrick Rose, Nerlens Noel, they all have team options in the 3rd year of their contracts. We're going to clear up a ton of cap space. This year's free agency class is whack, but 2023 is looking real spicy. We got a lot of young players. RJ Barrett's on the come up, star from Toronto, repping New York. Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickley. I could go on and on about our young core, but although this season's been an absolute disappointment, listen, Knicks are on the come up. Everyone else in the Atlantic Division, Toronto, Celtics specifically, for the sake of the podcast.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Watch out.
Yeah, hey, good analysis right there, man. It's true. It always sucks when you have money coming off the books and there's really nobody to sign. And the worst thing you could do is throw money at somebody who doesn't necessarily deserve that money. But let's get KingKov's opinion on the Knicks this year so far. How are the Knicks doing in your eyes?
I feel like they did the trade deadline right. They didn't make a drastic push or push out anything, but they're not playing their young players, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. So they're burning out your starters and not letting any, especially if it's a lost season. I just don't understand why Grimes isn't getting more minutes. Sims isn't getting more. I just don't know why these young players aren't getting more minutes when we've had guys like Derrick Rose go down, Nerlens Noel go on, Mitch Robinson going down. It's just Tibbs is the problem. You want to know why the Knicks are bad this year is because he's burnt out these guys. They got away with it last year because they got hot at the right time, but then they got to the playoffs and they got absolutely squashed. Over time, they just get burnt out. I mean, even a couple weeks ago, they were playing the Lakers in overtime, and Julius, he's got nothing left, man. He's got nothing left. You go on the West Coast, you're going to get drained as it is, and Tibbs just burns these guys minute after minute, and I just think the coach change with the young core, it has to happen. Yeah, they're burnt out. That's why they're bad. They're burnt out.
Which is funny because Thibodeau has been a coach who in his time with the Bulls, he gets a lot out of teams. He's a good defensive coach, really hard nosed, kind of like an old school throwback coach. But at the same time, that's always been the complaint about him. He's not a players coach at all. Players don't like playing for him. And he plays his starters way too many minutes. That's been the go-to. Every team he's been with have had injury issues down the road and burnout issues for sure.
It's just at the same time, it's he won Coach of the Year last year. The Knicks had the best season they had. One of the best seasons they had in 10 years. They hosted a playoff series, and what do we have to show for it? Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah, we didn't even win. We won one playoff game.
Yeah, it's like a show for it. 2 steps forward, 1 steps back kind of deal with them, it's funny because you talk about there's a lot of young teams in the league. There's a lot of teams that are even contenders playing young guys. I look at the Grizzlies. I'm looking at guys who are 20, 21, 22 years old playing meaningful minutes. I'm looking at teams like the Pistons who obviously are terrible. They beat my Raps every time because they got Dwayne Casey, our former head coach. But they're playing a bunch of guys who are 20, 21, 22 starters minutes. So at least in a year that you're not going to make the playoffs or make a meaningful playoff run, why not see what the young guys have? And Thibodeau's he reminds me of a baseball coach, that old school, rookie's not going to play in his first season, all that BS, go coach an MLB team. This is not the NBA. The young players are we love young players in the NBA.
It's just the things that get the fans excited, the young guys, he's not doing.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly.
I don't Alec Burks a couple weeks ago was playing 40 fucking minutes. When should that ever happen? When does Alec Burks should be playing 40 minutes again?
Yeah. What's funny is that I still think of him being a young player. He's not young anymore. I feel old, man. When I look at the NBA, it makes me feel old. Lominattii, were you gonna chime in there?
Yeah, I just had to. I just had to come at Tom Thibodeau's neck once again. If anybody knows about Tom Thibodeau's history, this man literally forewent getting married, having a relationship, finding love in his own words because he didn't have time for it. If he wanted to be a great basketball coach. And this man can't coach. He can coach in spurts, but eventually, once the goalposts move, he can't keep the rock moving. This man has completely sabotaged his entire life. No love forced to be the
Damn,
best
it's
man at
personal.
D-Rose wedding, watching other people fall in love. And this man can't coach. He's a criminal. Get him out my city.
Yo, I love it. I love it, man. Tom Thibodeau appreciation stream. This is not. That's for sure. Yo,
Oh
boys,
my
you guys
God.
gave me a good little rundown of your teams. The people in the chat now, if you're coming in from the sports directory, you know where these guys are rooting for. Let's get into the big news from 1 week, 2 weeks ago. The Harden Simmons trade. I want to get your guys' take, each of your guys' take on, you know, who won the deal, what you think of the trade, and what you see for, like, you know, the future of the Sixers and the present of the Sixers and the future of the Nets going forward. So maybe we'll start off with DK on this one, and we'll go
He's itching.
counterclockwise. Yeah, DK, what do you think about the trade? Who won?
Well, like, it was funny because, and I'm glad you kind of kept this, and maybe not intentionally, but
Yeah.
like after, you know, maybe a week or so after, and
Yeah.
give Harden some time to play. Kept kind of got on me.
I saw that. Yeah.
Because I originally had said that obviously, you know, the Nets won that with getting the first round picks and everything. But
Yeah.
man, oh man, those two guys, James Harden and Embiid, like all the stats that you see over and over again. You know ESPN, how
Yeah.
they'll just give random stats, but some of it is kind of crazy. And it's like when you actually then watch some of these players and watch Joel Embiid specifically, or somebody like Jokic, the big guys,
Yeah.
any big guy, and the way that they handle the ball and dominate, it's
Yeah.
different from a lot of guys. Like Embiid and Jokic are better, or they're different from somebody like Gobert, or maybe even
Yeah.
a little bit of Adebayo.
Adebayo, yeah.
Yeah, like
They're-
they're just dominant.
They're
They're
super
dominant,
skilled,
so-
super skilled and big too. Yeah.
Yeah, so then when you add somebody like James Harden, who is now, I don't know if anybody knows this, just past Reggie Miller for all-time threes,
Crazy. Yeah.
that's dangerous.
Yeah, and that's like the new NBA too. Like that's not, you know, I would never say if I was ranking all-time three-point shooters that James Harden's a better three-point shooter than Reggie, but the way that the game goes now, like, you know, you get power forwards and centers have to be able to knock down corner threes now. So, but still, like, very impressive. And I will say, like, I never expected Harden to be like a perennial MVP candidate when he was third string in Oklahoma City. I didn't foresee him having this career, but he is an incredible talent for sure. What about BigSov? We can hop over to the top left over there. BigSov, what do you think about the trade? Who do you think won this deal?
See, I'm gonna piggyback off what DK said. When you have somebody as dominant like Embiid, and he's get paired with a shooter like Harden, it's gonna be unstoppable. I mean, I don't think either team really won the trade. They both got what they wanted, but
Yeah.
that Harden and Embiid duo is gonna be insane.
Yeah, come playoff time, it's going to be wild. And, you know,
Exactly.
Even without Harden, like, I remember the Sixers took the Raptors, gave us everything we could handle, took Game 7, incredible, you know, 14 bounce shot to beat the Sixers. And now with Harden, it's like, damn, I don't think the Raptors have a chance against this team. And they still have all the other pieces as well. Like, their starting five is stacked. So definitely a team to look out for, making them contenders for sure. Lominattii, let's go over to you here. What are your thoughts on the trade?
Man, how much time I got, first and foremost. Listen, at the end of the day, I will say right now, no one has lost the trade. They're both winners. But if the Philadelphia Sixers do not win the championship this season, they will have officially lost the trade. And the reason why I say that is because Harden was gone from Brooklyn regardless. He wasn't going to pick up his option, and he was going to find his way right under the seat of Daryl Morey once again. And speaking about Daryl Morey specifically, if you don't learn from history, you're condemned to repeat it. The Rockets' biggest problem was he was always emptying the cupboard of draft picks and not able to retool with young role players to build around Harden, CP3, even way back when they had Dwight, when they had Capella. Daryl Morey is quick to empty the chest. They gave picks along with Ben Simmons. They could have easily waited until the summer, traded Ben Simmons to a team with cap space for draft picks, and just signed Harden outright. I think they jumped the gun on the trade, but all of that will be erased if Philly wins the chip this year. If they don't, they lost this trade.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. And you know, like we had to, when the Raptors kind of went to get, you know, take their one shot at a title and get Kawhi, even though we only had him for maybe 60 games in total, like, but a championship, it makes it all worth it. You'll never hear a person in Toronto saying a bad word about him because they got that chip. So hopefully for Sixers fans, this is the move that puts them over the top. But that's a really good point. Daryl Morey, I think, you know, I always remember the Rockets had, like, obviously right now they're in a complete rebuild at this point, but they stayed competitive for years and they were never afraid. Like every trade deadline, Rockets would make a big splash. They would switch it up every year. But you're right, like eventually you can't just keep up that frantic pace of trading for all-stars. Eventually you're going to run out and have no more assets left, and that's where they're at right now. So good points over there. KingKov, what about you, man? Are you going to say that Ben Simmons is the better player here? Are you going to give us some sort of a different take here or what?
I think it's kind of funny because I hate both of these teams.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think it's kind of funny because like Lominattii said about the Sixers not winning the championship, I don't think they're going to, and the Nets are just a mess right now considering they're be honestly lucky to get in a play-in, and once that whole situation's gonna be a mess. So honestly, I think it's going to create a disaster for both teams if it turns out that the Sixers don't win it all, and we just don't know what Ben Simmons is even going to be, even with a stack lineup like that. I just personally think it's funny that that whole Nets lineup just blew up, and it's just funny to me because like everybody was on Brooklyn from last year, they came up short, and then it's like.
Yeah,
you just I think it's just both teams are question marks. You really don't know what's going to happen once the playoffs actually get going because, like, they have the team to do it. It's just I don't know. It's like. It's just funny to me because I don't think either one of those teams are winning the East.
It's kind of crazy. Like that was a legit big three on the Nets and one of the most stacked on paper rosters. And the Nets were already a playoff team without their big three too. That's the kind of crazy thing about it. So it seems like how did they not make a deep run? And I guess we'll never find out, man. They were really quick. I mean, I guess kudos to the Nets on realizing that they made their play, it didn't work, and now they're trying to salvage some value back. So I mean, you know, maybe we give a shout out to the Nets for that, but
it's just their fans, bro. Like their fans, the ego of Nets fans. After that, bro, there was like we run New York. Like I was like, shut up, please shut up. Like,
oh my god, man.
You know what I mean?
I mean, they are New York's team truly now. No, I'm not. I'm kidding. You guys are in MSG. Like you guys are in the center of the mecca of basketball. Like they're out by the airport, right? Like that's not. You know, are they out of, like the Nets are out there? I know I've driven past their stadium. It's beautiful. I love that Jay-Z's a part owner. But
like even when they were good last year, nobody's in the stadium. You watch a Nets game, there ain't nobody there.
Yeah,
there ain't nobody there, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
The Knicks, that's the thing. The Knicks could be where they are right now, 12th in the East. They will still fill the Garden more than any other team in the league. That's just how it is.
And
that's why they're terrible, and they've been terrible forever. It's just like get this team together, bro. It's just this young core. It's gonna take time. We just gotta be patient. Just 5 more years, probably.
Absolutely. And chat, can we just say you're gonna be absolutely sick of Knicks takes by the end of this stream? I already made a huge mistake.
I was gonna say everything that
you guys on here
brings up, it's just going to bounce back to
everything. I was like, this is a hardened. We're not even talking about the Knicks here, and we're already getting Knicks responses. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna close this topic up. Let's
hold on. I have one extra.
DK, go for it. I'm opening it back up. Uh-oh.
Because we didn't mention Simmons too much because we haven't.
Yeah.
You know, we don't.
Right.
Know what he is.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I just said question mark. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I happened to watch the game against the Celtics when Jason Tatum put up 50, and I'm sitting there thinking like, well, what if that's Ben Simmons that's on him and not? It was actually Seth Curry that was on him. Oddly enough. Who's
like what, like 6'4"? Like he's pretty short, 6'3". He's pretty short. He might be 6'2". Like he's definitely not a guy who's known for defense for sure.
Yeah. And Kyrie just dropped 50 the game after the Celtic game, so it's like, and they're talking about him playing, you know, the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So,
they could still. They're still. I think they're right behind the Raptors in the standings. They might even be tied. The Raptors are on a bit of a losing streak right now, so the Nets could foreseeably get one of those final spots, and then who knows what happens. They still got guys like Joe Harris, who was really good in their season before the Big Three. You know, and he barely gets any shots. Like he's probably one of the most efficient 3-point shooters. Like they do have depth on that team still. So like who's to say that they don't go and make a run this year? And Ben Simmons is obviously going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder for the rest of his contract, so you can't underestimate that too. He's definitely going to be trying to improve his game. I don't think he'll ever be a 3-point shooter, but maybe he doesn't need to be. Maybe he just needs to be an elite defender and a guy who can facilitate and play, you know, good defense and help his team out that way. But boys, let's hop on to the next topic over here. Who are some of the teams that you would call? Well, where the hell is it here? Oh, my bad. All right, here it is. Who are some of the contenders that you look at? Like, if you had to pick a handful of teams that you think are, you know, legitimate title contenders this season, give me one or two teams that you think are guaranteed to be in the NBA Finals come June. Maybe we'll start off this one with KingKov and we'll work backwards.
Depending on health, I don't know how anybody beats Golden State in the 7-game set. So just throwing out. I mean, when the Warriors are hot and healthy, like they can put up 130 a night. So unless other than like the Suns, it's really I think the Suns and Warriors. I mean I think the Grizzlies will give a hell of a run. I just don't see them winning the West. So if I had to take a lock for the West, I'm taking the Warriors. And then I know they're the number 1 in the East, but I feel like the Heat are just the overall best team. And they've kind of been a little bit surprised. I don't think anybody expected the Heat to be the best team in the East, but I feel like they'll slide through. They got to the finals in 2020, and nobody expected them to. And I think this team is better than that team. So if I had to just throw it out there, give me Heat Warriors, little random one, I guess, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say that is a little bit random, but I like it. What about Lominattii? Let's go. I don't know if that's clockwise. That's clockwise. Lominattii. What's your picks, or who do you think are some of the real contenders? Doesn't have to be necessarily one from each division, but
take the Knicks.
I mean, first and foremost, listen, if the Knicks make the play-in, watch out.
Yo,
Get out of here.
I'm gonna cross over back into the realm of reality. I'm gonna piggyback off what Cobb said. Listen, the Heat, I know they're gonna catch a lot of flack because they don't really have that overwhelming star power that some of these top-heavy East teams have. But this Heat team is deep as hell, and they're coached by one of the best coaches in NBA history, in Eric Spoelstra.
Bro,
he can coach his ass off. Bam Adebayo can defend anyone. So can Jimmy Butler. And don't forget about Victor Oladipo, who just made his debut the other night. He played 15
minutes. I did forget about him.
11 points. If they get even 80% of Indiana Victor Oladipo, that team is winning the championship. Now, even though I planned this ahead of time, and I was just about to change my Western Conference answer in a split second because I saw some DK Nice slander in the chat. But I'm going with the Phoenix Suns. Listen, the Phoenix Suns are a legit contender. Devin Booker is cold. Young Mamba in the flesh. CP3 is going to get a ring. I will die on this hill. Before CP3 is out of the NBA, he will win a ring. Once he's healthy, the Suns are going to come back, and they're going to win it. DeAndre Ayton's too big down low. He's got a big body. I don't believe in Nikola Jokic, who's really one of the only premier bigs in the that can hang with him.
Yeah.
Suns Heat finals. We're going to see it, but the Heat are going to win.
Oh, interesting. Damn. Okay, got to stick with the East Coast teams. Let's go. Yeah, that's powerful.
Sick. He's sick after that.
Can we talk about you snuck in a big... yeah, the DK's loving it right now. Can we talk about how you snuck in a comment there that Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches of all time, which, you know what, now that I think about it, it's funny because he came into the league kind of being handed a bit of a dynasty from Pat Riley, being handed LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade, and people thought, oh, he's just some geek who is going to just get the ball to LeBron and he's going to get some rings. But then we see what he's doing without that star power, like you said. I mean, Jimmy Butler, I'm pretty sure, is shooting like 20% from 3 this year. Like, he's still playing great, but I don't even think the Heat have necessarily tapped their full potential. Is Spoelstra an all-time great head coach at this point? Not the best of all time, but would you say he's a Hall of Fame type head coach?
Yeah, he has experience. That's what matters.
Yeah, he does. I mean, taking over from Pat Riley, too, one of the greatest coaches of all time as well. Tough shoes to fill. SLG, appreciate the sub, my dude. Interesting thought, though. Interesting thought. I like that you snuck that in there. BigSov, what about you? Who are some of your contenders? Maybe, one from the West, one from the East, or a couple teams that you think are going to be super dangerous come playoff time?
All right, so non-biased, firstly, I'm going to give me Suns and Warriors coming out of the West.
Yeah, I can see that.
Give me the Heat and the Bucks coming out.
I was hoping someone was going to say the Bucks.
Okay. I'm going with Bucks-Suns finals.
And
rematch?
Suns coming out on wow. You know what? Wow. That was such a weird finals. If we end up seeing, I think that would be a big surprise, seeing those two teams back again. I don't think anybody would have called that after the season, but I think that's because a lot of people, like myself included, thought that maybe the Suns were pretenders, and we'll get around to the pretenders right after this. I could see it, man. We still forget about. I think people forget about how great Antetokounmpo is. He's an elite defender. He hasn't really developed that elite 3-point shot, but I just remember in the playoffs, nobody could guard him at all. It would take him like 3 strides to get a defensive rebound and go all the way down the court. And he's putting on more and more muscle every year. Like, look at his pictures as a rookie. Like it's crazy how much his body has changed. This guy is literally still growing. So who knows how good he could be. And the Suns, I mean, surprising a lot of people this year, for sure. DK, what about you? Who are your contenders and pretenders this year? Or sorry, your contenders this year, first of all.
So my contenders for the West, obviously the Suns. I feel like I don't have to say much for them. Chris Paul, he's on a mission. You could tell that, everybody, and of course with COVID and everything, it's not, hit the NBA too hard this year, but just over the last couple of years, it's just a lot of teams are in shambles and just trying to pick up the pieces throughout the season. And, thankfully enough, it's crazy that we're one of the teams that actually kept everything together, kept a lot of the core of the team together. Yeah. And we know what we're doing. It's a system. But and
DK didn't before you get into the East, when the bubble was going on, didn't the Suns finish the season on a crazy win streak that first year of the bubble? They were super hot, probably the hottest team in the league. So they kind of carried that over into the next season. It's like they found something,
But you know what the problem was with that team? Who we didn't have?
Yeah.
Chris Paul.
Yeah, that's right. They might have saw enough in that stretch. They might have seen enough that they're we're one piece away now, which is kind of crazy to think. It was a weird year for the NBA, but
because we had Jay Crowder. Everybody was there. Crowder was there. Mikal was he started to get older. Now he's almost getting talked about in the defensive player of the year race. I don't think he'll win it, but the fact that he's even being mentioned shows how much of a spotlight the Suns kind of have now. This is not they're not pretenders clearly, I guess.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I have one more contender for the East though. Dark horse, I guess you could say.
Okay.
This might sound weird and funny, but with who they picked up, at the deadline, and then there's rumors, around saying that somebody might return. If the Pelicans could get the right matchup, that team is kind of Brandon Ingram. He was a former All-Star. He's averages 20 points a game. Could score very easily.
Yeah.
Cullum, another 20-point scorer, and a guard that they really needed. Zion comes back.
Yeah.
Can I throw a quick dark horse team? I don't think anybody's talking about.
Yeah, go for it,
bro. The Cavs, bro. Honestly, the Cavs have been on a come up. Let me tell you, bro. Who saw that coming, bro? Yeah, honestly.
Garland is special, man. I just sidecasted a game. It was probably my second sidecast I've ever done, and I had seen the Raptors get blown out by them a few weeks earlier, and I was like, okay, let's see if this is a real flash in the pan type thing or whether these guys are for real. And I'll tell you, the Cavs are for real, and the scary thing is their best players are super young. The ceiling on that team is crazy. Yeah.
Bro, LeBron's sitting in LA thinking, go end your career, man. Go win one more chip. Tell me that wouldn't be a perfect way to solidify him as if he isn't already. To go back and do it again. Could you imagine that, bro? That would be wild.
Guys,
that would be wild. And this would be the perfect time to do it because the Cavs teams he did play on and somehow pulled off what he pulled off. Them teams were ass, bro. Them teams the team that won 3-1. That team was not that good.
We had what Mo Williams, Zadrunas Sigalskis. It was literally freaking. And then he had Dellavedova. In the second run, he had some real. Yeah, he had nothing really.
I think that, what Bron did that year was the greatest stretch of basketball by any player in history, bro. What he did that year in the finals was.
Are you trying to destroy my podcast here? You can't bring up LeBron. People get nasty in the internet about LeBron. I don't understand it.
I don't understand why.
I'll never understand it, but save it because we got an entire LeBron question coming up later. I will never have an NBA podcast without talking about LeBron. That's my one rule. We always have to have a LeBron segment. But boy, those are some good ones there and some dark horses too. I like it. Yeah, where's Duggets? Dude says in the chat. If McDuggets was in here, he would be going crazy. He'd be calling him LaFraud, and I would ban him immediately. So we talked about the contenders. Who are some of the teams that are getting talked about a lot, hyped up a lot in the media, and you think they just don't really have the juice, that aren't as good as what people are saying? Let's maybe continue to Lominattii here. We'll just keep going around the horn. Lominattii, are there any teams you think are getting too much love this season?
And I hate saying this because I'm a big astronomical Joel Embiid fan. Mm-hmm. I've loved him since he was in Kansas. But until James Harden shows me he can win in big games, they're pretenders. I need to see it to believe it. Listen, Philly looks good. Harden always looks good in the regular season. As soon as he gets his beard backed up against the wall, he tends to fold. But Embiid will probably be the underlier here. The other pretender I would have to say is the Denver Nuggets. They're not a top seed, but Nikola Jokic looks like he's going to win the MVP award. He should. That's a conversation for later.
Yeah, it is.
But the Denver Nuggets, they just don't have enough. If the porn star Jamal Murray, maybe they would have enough. But with Aaron Gordon as your second best player, they just don't have enough. The Nuggets are pretenders.
All right, let's go. That's some. So Sixers Nuggets here. We're gonna get a lot of hurt feelings in the chat right now. I think Jokic will definitely talk about him later on because he's an interesting player, man. He does not look like your prototypical NBA player today. This guy looks like he's never seen a dumbbell in his life, but he still balls out. It's funny about James Harden. I remember his NCAA tournament, like March Madness, and I remember him with was it Arizona State, and he was like probably the most talked about player that year, and he just put up a stinker in March Madness. Like he had a really bad first game of the tournament, and his stock dropped because of that. So that's another example from right in the beginning of those big moments. Maybe they get to him. I don't know. I feel like he's an incredibly competitive dude, so I'll never bet against him. But it's true. Like he's been in the league for a lot of years now. Like when's he gonna put a team on his shoulders? I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. BigSov, what about you? Who are some teams that you think are pretenders in this league? Not really going to go the distance this season.
For me, coming out of the East, I think the Bulls. Bulls are pretenders to me.
Yeah.
DeRozan's balling. DeRozan's having a season, but what's their record against 500 teams over 500? I mean, they are not looking good against competent teams, and I think they're big pretenders to me right now.
That's a good one, and as a Raptors fan, like we love DeMar DeRozan here. He was one of the only star play. He was never a superstar, but he was like a star player for us, and he was one of the only guys who wanted to play his whole career in Toronto. And he was very upset when he got traded, and we feel bad that he missed out on the championship run. And it's great to see him now, like in his 30s, having the best year of his career. But yeah, man, I would agree with that. I looked at the Bulls early in the year, and I was like, they got Ball, they got what's his name? The other shooting guard, the slam dunk champion. I'm forgetting his name right now, but they've got a lot of scoring. But it's true, I just don't look at them as being that extra level of elite. No matter how good their record is right now, I feel like in a 7-game series, they can maybe be exposed a little bit. DK, what about you? Who are your pretenders this year that you see?
Yeah, so my pretender for the East, and I'm out here making enemies on this panel, I guess. I almost said the Celtics. They've sold so much of my bread, but at the same time though, I had to double back this weekend, and then just in general after just watching them play, coming around, they're playing really well, and it's hard to say that like with their experience in the playoffs with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum being as young as they were then and where they are now, I can't really see them losing to, or they'll give a fight to a Cavalier team, but I can't see them losing to the Bulls if they match up with them in the first round. They'll give the Bucks a fight in the first round if somehow that happens. Yeah. So like I think that they'll be okay, but I think I'm gonna go with Sov here. I think the Bulls, man, just because like he said, with their record against the top half of the the league, Bucks, Sixers, Heat, Suns, Warriors, they have one win.
Yeah. Wow.
They have one win. And then just their injuries too. Caruso's a big part of their team. We don't know. He's always an effort guy, so he'll fit in. But Lonzo, he was very good at the beginning of this year. He found his stroke. He was shooting very well, being efficient. Now an injury with somebody who's been as streaky as him throughout his career. Let's see how he comes back. We don't really know. And what happened to their 4th round guy, Patrick Williams? I don't know where he's been at all year. I don't know if he's in and out of the lineup. He's hurt too, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I just don't see how they match up against any of those teams if they happen to play them with them being at the 4 spot right now. Raptors too. I can't really see them beating any of those teams that's around them right now.
I agree with that. Above. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, do you think the Bulls are good enough to win a first round series? Because they're going to get a pretty good seed this year if they continue finishing out the season. Can they win one series and then get knocked out in the second round? Is that kind of the trajectory you see them on, or do you think they're going to get knocked out regardless?
They have to get one of the top 3 seeds. I
Yeah.
think, and maybe even top 2. Because again, like I said, I don't think that they might be able to beat the Raptors. I'm sorry, but like I can't see them beating the Raptors either. You know, the Raptors have a lot of depth, and that's a scary team to play. You know, for the Bulls, they would have. You don't want to play the Nets either. I don't like they're not gonna. It's not gonna be easy for the Bulls right now. It's really not.
Absolutely, and KingKov, what about yourself? Did we didn't hit you with pretenders yet, right? We're saving you for the finale.
No, we did not.
Let's go. Give me your pretenders.
As far as the East goes, I'm just gonna tap in with everyone else and just agree the Bulls. Just not enough experience. Like I said, the games against 500 teams and all that. So I'll just go to my West. They've been good. Like they've been. I think they were number 1 seed last year. I think they're 4th right now. It's got to be the Jazz, bro. Like the Jazz, like look good. And every year in the regular season, look absolutely. They're good at home. Known as one of the best defensive teams in the league. And for some reason, they just can't get past the first round. Whether it's Gobert goes down or it's Mitch doing it by himself. Like I feel like they're just that team that looks good every single year on paper. They play good during the regular season, and then they get to the first round. First round. I think they got bounced. Who did they even get bounced by last year? I want to say, was it the Mavericks? I wanted to say the Mavericks. Don't quote me on that, but I know they get past the first round, and it's like that team should they got the whole roster to do it when healthy. Like Gobert is probably, I think, won multiple defensive player of the years. Like I just don't think they can get it done in 7-game sets because they've shown they haven't been able to do it before, even with home court advantage. So it's got to be the Jazz for me.
Yeah, even though Gobert is always like a defensive player of the year candidate, he's an incredible rebounder, but fairly limited offensively. Like when you're one of your best players is limited on one side of the ball, I think it definitely doesn't bode well. Whereas they got other
3-point shooters. Like they can hoop, man. Like especially if you're one of the best defensive teams in the league and you can put up decent numbers from 3, like you're bound. That's a 3-point league, man.
Yeah.
So if you could be top 10 in threes and have a decent defensive team, like you're gonna win a lot of games just that alone. So
yeah, absolutely, I can see that. And I'm gonna throw in, I'm not gonna touch on every single category because you guys are the stars of the show here, but I'm gonna throw in the Raptors as being pretenders this year. I think they will sneak into the playoffs in one of the last seeds. I think we will get blown out. When I first started watching the season this year, and it was a young team, kind of a lot of unknown players, and Scotty Barnes has balled out. He's been really good. A lot of our guys, Siakam's had a bounce back year. We're going through injuries right now, so it's tough. So we're not really, advancing the way we should be. But when I was watching early in the year, I was like, this young team and this physical team that we have is really good for the new officiating style. I was like, damn, maybe Masai Ujiri knew something when he went out and got all these young, athletic, long guys, and now the refs are letting them play a bit more this year. There's like it's not a loose whistle now. Like they're really not calling stuff that they used to. And I noticed that the young team, like they had so much bounce in their step. Like they were offensive rebounding like better than anyone in the league. Like they were missing a shitload of shots, but they were getting all their rebounds and getting second chance opportunities. And now I look at the Raps team, and maybe it's just that like OG Anunoby's out, Fred VanVleet's been out for a while. Like maybe they're just fatigued, but they don't have that same bounce in their steps now. It just looks like they're really laboring. From the first quarter, they look tired. Like we did just play 4 games in 5 nights, but honestly, I think I'm okay with a first round exit this year, and hopefully we continue building in the right direction. But boys, I got to say here, and we'll save this one. Biggest surprise this year. It could be a player, it could be a team. Who would you guys say is your biggest surprise in the league this year, or a team that just jumped out at you that seems to be super outperforming what you expected, or super underperforming where you expected it? Maybe we'll go to Lominattii here. We'll keep going around the horn.
The biggest surprise of the NBA season has been Desmond Bane, second-year player in the Memphis Grizzlies. That boy, I knew he'd be cold coming out of college, but I didn't think this cold this quickly. He's averaging 18 points a game. He's cooking. Honorable mention to Miles Bridges. Biggest surprise, he's looking like a star over there in Charlotte. Credit to LaMelo for finding him in the right spots. But biggest surprise is Desmond Bane. He's absolutely balling. He's been huge help for John Morant and them boys. That's my biggest surprise for the NBA season.
Let's go. I like it. BigSov, what about you? Who jumps out at you as being a big surprise, or what team is not performing the way you thought? Yeah, go for it.
I got an underperformer and an overperformer.
Let's go.
What surprised me, the Lakers are underperforming like crazy with that team, I think.
Yeah.
To me, they should be, playing a lot better, but
yeah.
So that's
100%.
a surprise for me, underperforming. And then DeMar DeRozan.
Mm-hmm.
What he's doing in Chicago right now, putting up all these numbers, that's a huge surprise to me.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I'm a big DeRozan fan, so
Yeah.
I like that. I like to see that.
I love it too, and I think DeRozan does take a lot of pride. Like he's got a lot of, he's the kid from Compton. He's got a great work ethic. Like he was always praised for his work ethic. He was never the most talented player. He's never going to be the best shooter in the league. He really hasn't developed into an elite defender at all. But him signing a big contract, I think he feels pressure on himself to perform up to that, and he works to give everything he has. So I think that's definitely a good surprise. I was surprised too. You think guys in there, was he 32 years old now or something? Like guys are normally on the decline at this point, and he's playing the best ball of his career. So I definitely see that for sure. And the Lakers are a whole different issue where I hate to see LeBron being in a losing situation. I think it's good for the NBA when LeBron is in the finals every single year. I think it's good, but we'll see what comes of the Lakers down the stretch here. DK, what about you? What are your surprises in the league this year?
So I maybe like one negative surprise, one positive. Quickly, just the Cavs, man. It got to be Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very surprised about them. We didn't know what they were about. Like Sexton was okay. He was, kind of coming into his own. Garland, same thing. But and then they said, yeah, we're gonna run 3 7-footers in our lineup.
Yeah.
What?
In today's NBA,
that's what you wanted to do. And sure enough, now we see it. It's clearly working out. And they made a huge trade with getting another scorer in Karis LeVert while still keeping some of the young guys. That was what they needed. So them and then
and Mobley too. Mobley's like he's like a 7-footer, but he's slim. He's athletic.
Yeah.
He can take the ball up the court too. Like I saw him against the Raps, and he's just like he's in the right place at the right time. Their whole team didn't look like they got tired at all either the entire game. So that was rough. Yeah. And what was the other one you're gonna say, DK?
Yeah, the Nets, and just how they have more than enough time to there's more of this season. If they make the playoffs and go far and maybe make the Eastern Conference Finals, then we're all probably gonna shut up.
Yeah.
But that was. Because of all the talks around New York, the Nets this, the Nets that, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
When they finally got Harden, I'm like, it's over. Like, how do you stop that? Kyrie, James Harden, KD, like on paper, you're like, how? But to see that breakup the way that it did, and to see everything, just everything, the way it transpired, what Kyrie decided to do, to KD getting hurt, and obviously having to miss games, and the record taking a beating because of that. Harden, same thing, and then Harden getting traded. All that was kind of wild, but now they have more defense with 2 great scorers.
Absolutely.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to let history determine whether that trade was a W or an L, and whether the Nets have kind of I think everyone looked at that trade as like it's a win now move for the Sixers, it's a future move for the Nets. But I mean, if the Nets by some crazy stretch end up overperforming, then imagine how bad Sixers Nation is going to feel if they end up going further in the playoffs than the 76ers do. That would be crazy. KingKov, what about you? What are your big surprises this year from around the NBA?
I'm gonna be kind of all over the place with it. But for like surprising as far as the West, like the fact that Memphis is second right now in that competitive, top 5, top 6. I mean, the leap that Ja Morant has taken is wild, bro. Like and that's why I'm gonna kind of like add on with RJ. Like RJ's been the biggest surprise for me too. Like the leap that he's taken like so quickly. Like the fact that he's not scared to take it to the hoop anymore. He's not scared to shoot it from 3. He's not scared to dish it out. He's made a complete come up over the last year or so. And as far as just underwhelming, I hate to like throw it in again, but I feel like the Knicks are just the biggest like underwhelming downfall based on like the hype that was surrounded going up from last year. Like I feel like when you go from 4th seed, all the hype, getting the fans back in the Garden for a playoff round, like I feel like you have to go up from there. And the fact that we're not even gonna be in a play-in unless we go on a crazy run. Yeah, it's I obviously I'm throwing my own bias in there, but it's just how do you go from a 4th seed, right? Last year get like and you're the most popular sports team outside of the Yankees in the entire world, and you go from the 4th seed to, and I thought they were gonna be better this year. I really thought like you get everybody a little more extra time to gel together. RJ with Randall and Randall with Manuel quickly, and if Mitchell Robinson stays healthy, like I was like, we're gonna win the freaking East. That's how I do it. No bias.
I'm gonna
go from that to 12th, and the East is wide open, man. The East is wide open. Like the playoffs are gonna be wild. Like everyone, like I said, there's gonna be favorites and stuff, but the Bucks could slip back in. Like anybody could really do it in the East. That's why the beauty of the play-in is gonna be so wild. If you got teams like the Hawks, like just explosive teams, if they get in there, man, like anything can happen. But underwhelming. It's got to be the Knicks, man. You don't go from all that, get the whole city fired up. We win the first game against the Celtics in overtime. The whole city is like ready to go on a playoff run and tear the city down. And now, like, Knicks, it sucks. As being a Knicks fan, now we have to go back to shutting up and sitting in the basement of the East until they figure it out. So
where you guys belong, and I will say, Kov, I'm glad you wrapped up there because I was going to cut your mic off. I was hearing a lot of stuff there that was a little bit ridiculous. Typical New York Knicks fan in that. There is a world that exists outside of New York City, believe it or not. New York City, I love New York City. Used to go there. Like, I haven't been since COVID, but it's a beautiful place to be. But there is a wider world outside of New York Knicks fandom, believe it or not.
I don't see it.
And the rest of us are not surprised because we all knew that it was a one-time thing. Julius Randle being your best player, I mean, in today's NBA, come on. No, it's funny, though. Like, I think it's kind of cool to look back, like, from our conversation last year, Kov, on the podcast where we talked Knicks ball for like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And it definitely is interesting to see like a year later, where they're at now. And hopefully, they still do have that cap space and they end up building something good. Because I do think bottom line, the Knicks being strong is something that the NBA hasn't had for my entire life. And the Knicks need to be a good franchise for the NBA to be like the penultimate league, in my opinion.
Well, just to throw in one more thing to piss everyone off, the Knicks won like 14 the last 18 games last year. So, there's like 17 games left. So, go on a run. Maybe,
now they're going to start trying. Yeah. Okay, good.
See,
good to know.
Listen. That's a take from my heart. You know what I mean? That's just what I want to like believe, Yeah. I gotta have some faith. I'm like, that's how New York sports fans are. You just have stupid faiths and you just go with it and then you get disappointed and then you do it again next year.
That's it. Hey, you got the recipe.
Then you do it again next year. It's like magic, bro.
100%. 23 years ago, the Knicks snuck in the playoffs as an 8 seed and made it to the finals. It can happen again. Ironically enough, that same year, 99, the number 1 seed in the East was the Miami Heat. History tends to repeat itself. Let's go, Knicks.
Interesting. Okay. Wow, we were getting our tinfoil hats on for this stream. Okay.
We taking
all right.
We taking it over.
Oh my God. All right. Next topic. I gotta break it up here. I gotta go reverse order this time so I can break up the Knicks fans because I can't have them going back to back here. So we're gonna go KingKov and back to DK. So the next question here is Rookie of the Year race. If you had to pick, and I'll be fully honest here, this is for you guys to shine because I've seen a lot of Scotty Barnes this year. I have not seen a lot of the other rookies around the NBA just because I stream always during the NBA games on the East Coast. So Kov, who would you say is your Rookie of the Year this year, or who are the couple guys that might be at the top?
Yeah, it's a good question because like that's also something I'm not like exactly familiar with outside of the Knicks, but the one that constantly comes to my head is a kid from Cleveland. It seems like that's the one that everyone seems to go around and talk about, whether it's defense, whether it's, I know the big thing is with defense. So if, like I said, that's one category I'm not familiar with outside of just like the Knicks. But if I had to go based on what I do know, that would definitely be my choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he I think he's averaging like 1.7 blocks per game, and he's long and he's athletic. So definitely could see him.
That's the one I hear about. So that's the one I hear about the most.
Yeah, and he's shooting good percentages. Like he's really doing everything that you would expect in a rookie. He's playing like a veteran, which is right ahead of there's no like runaway. It's not like those years when you have like a premier talent come in. But there's a lot of guys who are really performing in the rookie of this year, I'd say. DK, what about you? Who's your Rookie of the Year from what you've seen around the NBA?
Yeah, I feel like this is, I guess for me, a little bit easy. Like Scotty's played so well, but for just some reason, and maybe it's due to the team success too, it's just Evan Mobley is, and everything that I don't know how much like they factor in like the team's like injury problems and like the storyline behind what that player had to go through throughout that particular season. Same with Scotty. And having to fill in the role for earlier on in the year for Siakam and then now for OG.
100%.
Evan had to do the same thing. Marketing went down. They didn't have that trio, and then immediately after, Jared Allen went down, and now Jared Allen's out again. and he stepped up. He's stepping up. So I think he just had a recently like a 20-15 game or 29-12. It was something. It was something crazy.
Kevin Love type numbers from back in the day when he was young. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So and then he's willing. We know about you mentioned the blocks, but he's a willing passer.
Yeah.
It's just he brings it all.
Yeah, he plays the game the right way. And it's funny because like back in the day, I always thought that like normally rookie of the year was like, okay, if he's a high draft pick, he's on a shitty team and he's putting up big empty numbers. And now we're looking at the rookie of the year and it's like guys that are young and they're on really good teams and they're playing an important role and they're ready to compete now. So it's kind of like in the past it was like, this guy averaged 25 points a game and they won 5 games in the season. He's the rookie of the year. Now it's like, it's kind of swung a little bit, which is kind of cool. Obviously, the fact that these guys are getting good draft picks on competitive teams means that these GMs are doing a really good job getting talent in later picks. Sav, what about you? Who have you seen around the league that jumps out as the rookie of the year to you?
For me, I think it's a close 1 and 2 right now. You got Mobley, Cade Cunningham. I think towards the end of the season, I think Cade Cunningham's going to end up winning it.
Cade Cunningham, is he on the Pistons?
Yes.
I saw him. So that was my first ever sidecast that I did, and I hadn't seen the Pistons play all year against the Raps. And Cade Cunningham, the chat voted him as the MVP of the game. Nobody had a crazy stat line. Nobody even scored 20 points, I don't think, for the Pistons that game. But Cade Cunningham just looked dangerous. Like he passed the eye test. I was looking at him. I was like, "Who is this guy? Is he young? Is he like some journeyman who's just getting minutes on a bad team?" But he looked like a dangerous type player. Definitely had like kind of star written all over him. So I could definitely see him being a dark horse candidate too. And again, I knew nothing about him till like a week ago. And Mobley obviously too, popular choice for rookie of the year for sure. Sav. Lominattii, what about you? Who's your rookie of the year this year?
As it stands right now, March 9th, 2022, Evan Mobley is the clear front runner for Rookie of the Year. You have to factor in success, especially when the rookie is directly responsible for much of that team's success. Cleveland was in the gutter last year. They add Mobley. They eventually add Karis LeVert at the trade deadline, yes, but Cleveland was very good prior to the trade deadline. Special shout out to Cade Cunningham, though. That boy is absolutely cold. The Pistons, I know they're playing the Bulls right now, but as of Monday night, I believe they were on a 3-game winning streak, had just won 6 of the last 8. Yeah. So I could see, to Sav's point, I could see Cade Cunningham making up some ground, but I think ultimately, at the end of the season, Evan Mobley is going to win it based not only on his performance, but on the way he is responsible for a lot of that team's success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these are all W takes. Like, you guys are obviously super knowledgeable about the NBA. I'm going to give my 2 cents here because I'm a Raptors fan. The only rookie that I've seen a significant amount of is Scotty Barnes, and I've loved what I've seen, averaging like over 35 minutes a game, playing starters minutes, instantly plugged in. He looked good in the preseason. He looked better in the regular season. He has a lot of bounce to his step. He's a good defender. He's surprisingly polished offensively. Like, he's got like a decent post game. His 3-point shot's a work in progress. So there's still like tons of room for growth with Scotty. And he was a point guard in college who's in like a small forward, power forward's body. So he's like, he fits the mold of the Raptors, what they're trying to do with guys that can play 3 or 4 different positions and not really having, being able to kind of put out unconventional lineups. I could see him, being like a point forward down the road, like, when Van Vliet's getting a break. I could see him kind of leading this offense. And I can't remember who was that said this the other day. It might have been B. Johnsy who was in my chat, and he said, "What are the odds that Scotty Barnes is the Raptors' best player as early as next year?" And I was like, that would be scary because, I think that the leaders are Van Vliet and Siakam for sure. But, like, he seems like the kind of guy who could have a crazy second season. I don't know. I'm not expecting it, but I could definitely see him going wild and becoming, like, some superstar-type talent. But at the same time, I don't think he's the Rookie of the Year. I just think he's in a really good spot in Toronto, in my humble, biased opinion. But, yeah, W takes overall here, guys. Let's get into the big hardware, though. Rookie of the Year is kind of like nobody really cares. Let's be honest here. MVP. This is the real question here. Who's the MVP of the league, guys? Let's go. Let's start off with Sav this time. We'll go around clockwise. Sav, who's your league MVP this year, my guy?
Oh, this is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck between. Personally, I'm going Jokic or Giannis.
Okay, yeah, I can see it.
Giannis has been balling, always dominant, unstoppable. So that's who I'm going with. I'm going with Giannis.
Hey, I like it. I like it. You left it to the last second to decide, and both W choices, both clearly like in the top 10 choices for sure. But I mean, could anybody be mad if Giannis won this year? I don't think so. I don't think you could be mad. They got a good team, and he's got ridiculous stats again. But what about you, DK? Who's your MVP?
Fluff Giannis, first of all. Fluff that guy. Ruining my summer. But anyways. Gotta be Embiid, man. Just I like the way that he's responded after maybe feeling possibly, getting snubbed of the MVP last year, and he almost like kind of how James Harden did when Westbrook was winning at the time.
Yeah.
He stayed, pedal to the metal. He's tried to get better every year. We see it. He was more dominant. He's taking the ball to the basket from the 3-point line to the rim. Yeah. He wants to win, similar to how Giannis is doing too. So it's crazy how we're seeing a 7. He's a little taller than Giannis doing that, and as big as he is, that's not fair.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I mean, just the numbers speak for themselves, man. It's just dominant.
Absolutely, and I think too. Like I definitely think Embiid could be in the running and probably definitely in the top 3 right now, in my opinion. But I will say, I thought that the days of a power forward or a center winning MVP were over. I didn't think we'd ever see it again with the way the NBA is. But I mean, the guy's averaging 30 points, like 12 boards, and 4 or 5 assists. Like, he's doing everything. He's playing good defense. He's healthy. Yeah, hard to argue against it. And this year, like, multiple MVP candidates are big men. So the league is kind of adjusting again. We saw it where it was all perimeter players. Now it's like these interior guys are actually getting their day in the sun again. Kov, what about you? Who's your standout MVP candidate right now?
I'm gonna go with Jokic. Oh, I'm pronouncing it right. Jokic.
Jokic. I don't know how to say his name, but
I mean, because when you think about it, what does MVP stand for? Most valuable player. I just think with them being 6 in the West, like, he has to be the most valuable, because if he wasn't on that team, how bad would that team actually be? And the numbers he puts up for his size and how, like, he's just a bulky dude. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, the numbers he's able to put up is just, I think it's impressive. And like I said, if they didn't have him, you got to think what player is, because it's always like, oh, whoever wins the most games, it's who's ever had the best season on that team. It's not, it shouldn't always be that case. It's like, I think everyone forgets the value part of MVP, and I just think Jokic is the most valuable player to that team.
Okay, so you're going not necessarily the best player on the best team. You're going to who plays the biggest role and does the most things. And I mean, he does everything. He's kind of like a walking triple double.
He really is.
Definitely, like he just seems so bizarre to me, man. I don't know where this guy came from. Like, I like, did he play college ball in the States? Like, where is this guy from? Is he just like some European draft pick who just kind of everything went right for him?
Draft pick.
Yeah, man, he's talked about being like a great unknown. Whoever drafted him, they must have seen something, because he's really exciting. You see him putting up like 27 points, like 12 boards, like averaging almost 8 assists a game. Like, and he gets a lot of steals too. Like, he's just
I also
smart.
think, like, he's just a likable guy. Like, he's just goofy. Like, you can just tell, like, he's just there's like all kinds of like TikToks of videos of him. He's just like messing around and messing with like the other players and the refs and the fans. Yeah. Like, he just seems like a wholesome dude. Like, he seems like he's easy. I think he's easy to like, which obviously that has no factor in MVP. I just I don't know. I think that throws in a little extra. Like, he's just an easy guy to like, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I got you on that one, man. I think definitely a deserving candidate this year for sure. And let's bring it home with Lominattii here. Lominattii, who's your MVP this year, my dude?
Listen, man, I have a surprising amount to say on this, but I will keep it brief. Last week I did about a 2-hour podcast just on the potential NBA.
Dang, let's go.
But, I want to start off by saying I think Jokic will win the MVP award, and I also want to just throw this out there. What Jokic does is far more impressive than any triple-double Russell Westbrook has ever averaged, and I love Russell Westbrook. Yeah. But this man is a thick 7-footer.
Yeah.
Moving on, my MVP is Ja Morant. This dude is averaging Derrick Rose-like numbers from Derrick Rose's MVP season, and they're also the same age that Derrick Rose was.
23.
Now, I will say, I don't think Ja Morant would be doing this back in that era. The pace was totally different. But if we're talking this current NBA season, it's got to be Ja Morant. These guys are a top seed in the West. They were not expected to be there. They're there on the backs of young players. This isn't a team laden with vets. I think, most of their vets are Steven Adams and Kyle Anderson.
Yeah.
This is team being led by Ja Morant, a third-year player, putting up MVP-type numbers. I don't think he's going to win it. I think he absolutely should.
Yeah, hey, that's a hot take right there, and somebody you kind of forget about, who I think is kind of only just creeping on to some of these MVP lists. But there's kind of always that factor of like young players kind of get overlooked for the MVP unless they're like a generational type talent. But yeah, man, I mean, you make a good point. Number one seed, best player on the best team. I mean, maybe that's something down the road. I do think he'll get overlooked because of his age, because guys always look at a player who's like 22, 23, and they're like, well, he's going to probably get 2 or 3 of those awards down the line. But again, I wouldn't be mad at that pick by any means. You know what's kind of sad, guys, to me here, and this is going to be our next topic here is having an MVP conversation and not having LeBron James be one of the choices. And that's just, I'm a big LeBron fan, and I hated LeBron for many years. Not hated him as a person. I always thought he was a great, with a lot of the initiatives that he does and like the school that he runs, but. The Raptors just could never make it to the Eastern Conference Finals because we had to go through Miami or Cleveland, and we just could never beat LeBron. Yep. And I guarantee you the only reason the Raptors won a championship was because LeBron moved to the West. If he was still in the East, I don't care who he had on his team, we would not have made it past him. It's just unbeatable for the Raps team. So this last round here, guys, the last of our panel topics for tonight. What are your thoughts on LeBron James's legacy? His where he's at in the game right now, and maybe if you had to put him on an all-time list, all right, what number is it? I mean, I know they had the 75 players released this year. I don't even know where LeBron ended up being placed on that list, but if you had to rank him as far as a number all-time, where would LeBron be on your list? So let's start off this one with maybe DK Nice at the top over there.
So I guess to kind of piggyback off of what you said with the MVP race, I guess maybe a question for if they you guys choose to answer this, but what if the Lakers were in a better spot in the standings? Was he the MVP? Because he's actually almost leading the league in scoring right now, almost at 30 points per game.
Yeah.
At the age of 37.
Yeah.
So would that change some of your answers in terms of MVP race? Yeah. Probably. That's probably the only reason why he's not, there is because of where they are. Yeah. So it's not really his fault. It's just that also those other guys, it's showing. It's actually, they're giving results.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Despite all that though, and despite this season, to me, he's the GOAT.
Okay.
There's no debate.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that, forget the 6 for 6. I don't care for that. The fact that he's able to make an impact on the game in every single area. I know Jordan did offense, defense. We know that.
Yeah.
But he's getting blocks. He's getting steals. He's making teammates better. He's scoring the ball when he needs to.
Yeah.
He understands the flow of the game. He's not that Jordan was a me player, but he almost gives me Westbrook type ish vibes. He's not going to go ahead and give up the ball unless he needs to. Whereas LeBron, he will willingly give up an open shot if to put his team in a better position. He's just, I don't know, and again, we all know it. Just with him at his age, how do you?
The fall off's got to happen at some point. It's so hard to retire at the top of your game. 37 years old is incredible that he still has any athleticism left at all. But it's kind of crazy. You mentioned him being kind of willing to make the pass. I don't think you could name a single player in the NBA in the last 15 years who would not love to be a teammate of LeBron James. I bet you everybody wants. Even today, I bet you take any of the players in the All-Star game, everybody would love to be LeBron's teammate because he does make everyone else better and he puts up numbers despite being unselfish. He still gets his too. And he's putting up better percentages this year than he has in his career. Yeah. He's higher scoring average. He's doing everything at the exact same level. So it's interesting. What's the issue with that Lakers team? What is the issue? It's kind of a side question here. What is it?
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis, really?
Yes, 100%. Now everybody wants to say Westbrook, and that's everybody's cop out. Okay, yeah, the shots that he takes. Suspect, but he's always done that on any team that he's played for. The Wizards, Thunder, Rockets, it didn't matter.
Yeah,
it's more glaring because of how bad those misses are.
Yeah,
it's not that he's missing a lot; he's always missed.
Yeah,
just it looks a little bit worse. But Anthony Davis, you can't tell me that when Anthony Davis was with the Pelicans, that man was just a different breed. He was what Giannis is now.
Yeah.
He was dominant.
Yeah.
We saw him as dominant in potential MVP. The only reason why he wasn't was because, Kevin Durant at the time and LeBron was still on his team.
Yeah.
But now what? Like when we see him play now, like I know he's hurt here and there, but like I guess when he's healthy at times, where's that Anthony Davis? He's older. He's definitely more built.
Yeah.
Where's the aggressiveness? He's almost like doing a Julius Randle. What are we doing?
They're just lazy. Honestly, it's just lazy. They look same thing with the Julius Randle Knicks. They're just lazy. They don't seem to care. They play like they don't care. And that's wild to me.
Well, let's parlay off that. Let's continue from what DK's line of thinking there. We can touch on everything. You guys are going to bring up opinions here that are going to get other conversations started. So you see that laziness too, KingKov? You see the lack of that competitive drive? How can you be on a team with LeBron and not be a competitor? LeBron is like the ultimate competitor. I don't even see that. Like, how can you not?
I don't know. Like, yeah. And it's kind of tied in with the LeBron thing. It's like last year against the Suns in the playoffs, like LeBron just straight up gave up. Like in that elimination game, like there's 5 minutes left in the game. Like, I mean, I know it's an elimination game. I think they're down probably 15 plus. Like, I get it, but he's just walking up the court. It's just shit like that. It's just it kind of rubs me the wrong way. And I think that's extended to this year. I just feel like they're just like it's not. They got a Mickey Mouse championship in 2020, like like it's just it's just the bubble, whatever, Mickey Mouse, but it's just like I said, same thing with the Knicks and Julius Randle. I think it's a little bit different with Julius just because he's burnt out, and same thing with LeBron. LeBron's just older, but it's just it's just laziness. It's how it looks.
Yeah. And Kyle, what do you think? Like, if you had to do what DK did and give a numerical ranking to where LeBron is on the all-time list, right? Where's he for you?
Right. With that say, after I say that about LeBron, he could have retired after what he did in 2016. Coming back 3-1 like that right there. Once he went back to, you could have tossed it around, based on because he went to Miami, he got a super team, and everyone's like, oh, those rings don't count or whatever. Because it's such a bullshit argument now because now you have all these other teams that are establishing super teams, and that's why everyone thought the NBA was gonna be. It's just super team after super team. It's just gonna be, who's gonna be the next one to take over, and that's why it was kind of cool to see Bucks and Suns last year because really not any of those teams are really super teams. They just got hot and they have good players that have been with the team for a while, and it felt like it was a wholesome NBA Finals. Like it felt wholesome. It didn't feel like one team stacked up one end. Like we got Cavs Warriors 3 years in a row.
Yeah, that was. I said that I thought LeBron in the finals every year was a good thing. I didn't mean the exact same matchup 3 years in a row. That wasn't good for the NBA.
Before that, it was Heat Spurs. Back-to-back years. You know what I mean? Like those were great finals. The Heat Spurs finals were amazing to watch. Like because those Spurs teams were a blast to watch under Popovich, and it's weird how their team has changed so much over the last couple of years. But no, Brown's the GOAT. I'm pretty sure he just hit all-time points, right? He's the all-time scorer of all time. Did he not hit that? Or he's either right there. Pretty sure
Kareem is ahead of him.
He's still three. He's like 200 away.
He must have just passed someone. That's why he's gonna hit it. You got to think at this rate. Yeah. I say only 37, but if he's playing like this now, I can see him playing to probably 40. You could probably maybe call it at 39. You know what I mean? He's the GOAT, man. I mean, like. Numbers don't lie. You can say what you want about, like DK said, 6 for 6, but how many finals has he been to? Like, it's the same. It's like, honestly, it's like looking at Brady, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think there's a lot of value. Yeah.
Like, and the fact that he took some of those Cavs teams that would probably be no better than 13th in the East and took them to the finals and won once. Yeah. Like, honestly, like, he could have retired right then and there, and you can't argue him to go. I could see him going back to Cleveland and trying to pull off another one. That would be, like, best case scenario for him. Like if anybody argues it after that, like if he were to win one more, I feel like there's no way you can argue it. Like there's just no way. And I don't think you can anyway now. So
I think Lominattii is going to give us an argument. I think he's going to prove that there is an argument. And I'm excited. I'm excited to hear it here. Lominattii, what's your take on LeBron and maybe on the ranking thing too? Here, are you going to talk some sense into the two gentlemen who just spoke before you, or what?
Listen, man, I thought I was gonna have to go for a second because I smelled it smelled like smoke in the air for a brief second. It's either smoke or it's participation trophy. I cannot listen. LeBron, I respect him. I haven't liked him since he won the Rookie of the Year, Anthony, which he didn't deserve. But I respect his game. I respect greatness in all sports, even if they're not on my teams. Mm-hmm. But we can't, in terms of the GOAT debate, we can't just reward LeBron for simply always winning in the first round, or simply making the finals and losing. The underlying word here is losing in the finals. When Jordan went to the finals, he won. He was absolutely undefeated. Jordan was also a consistent MVP. He was a consistent defensive player of the year as well. But on to LeBron. I'll save the LeBron slander for another time. But to respect his greatness, I just want to tell a very small anecdote. About 8 years ago, 2014, I was still in prison, and all I did was live and breathe sports. I had a sports almanac that would just sit on my locker. And I remember my friend was in my cell one day, and we were going through the numbers. And back in 2014, we did the math, and we said, if LeBron plays, maybe 10, 12 more years, he will pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And now to just fast forward and actually see him doing it in real time sooner than we even expected. He defied the math. Father Time is undefeated, and it'll catch LeBron eventually. But I thought he wouldn't pass him until age 40, averaging 12, 13 points a game. But he's averaging damn near 30. I think the last time I checked the scores, he was, 0.4 points behind the leader. I mean, he credit to him. It's sad to see him on this bad of a team, also with no avenues to getting better, which kind of makes me want him to force his way out of the Lakers, because there's no clear avenue to the Lakers getting better. Credit to LeBron, credit to his greatness, but he's absolutely number 2 behind Michael Jordan. And in casual realism aside, I put him behind Kobe Bryant. Tune into Mamba Mornings every morning.
Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, you know what? I don't think there's anything.
Wow.
Bottom line, the only person I'm going to have a problem with is somebody who doesn't have LeBron in the top 2. The guys who say LeBron is number 5, LeBron is number 6. That's the people who don't live in reality. And I'm sorry, McDuggets, if you're in the chat right now. It's just not real. So I think respecting his legacy, top 2, I think, look, number 10 in the chat, this is ridiculous. I'm going to have to ban some people today. But yeah, definitely well said, man. And BigSov, what about you? What's your thoughts, opinions on LeBron James, his legacy, and where he ranks for you?
I don't like doing the whole GOAT talk because I'm a young dude. I never really got to watch Jordan. So it's always comparing this stat to that stat, this era to that era. So I don't really like to, Jordan's my GOAT or LeBron's my GOAT, because I never got to watch both with my own eyes.
Yeah, for sure.
So to me, it's got to, LeBron has to be the GOAT for me because I never got to watch Jordan.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's 37 years old, 208 points away from passing Malone as the second all-time leading scorer. Yeah, it's incredible.
It's wild, and I think there's something to be said, and people always like to, we're sports fans, we like to have a set in stone answer, we like to have arguments, we like to have debates. I think it's safe to say Jordan was the greatest player of a great era, and LeBron James is the greatest player of this great era. They're both incredibly special players. I got nothing but respect for both of them. I still, out of deference, it's like I never will say that LeBron is better than, he could do anything. I'll never say he's better than Jordan. I could say that he equals him. And also the amount of pressure, Michael Jordan didn't take over and come into the league being like, oh man, this guy's going to be the next so-and-so. He was the first guy who was like, this guy's the best player of all time. LeBron came in out of high school and people were already saying, man, he's going to be measured against Jordan, and that's it. If he had the biggest shoes to fill of anybody, and can we say that LeBron didn't do a good job? I think he's done an incredible job of living up to all this hype and pressure that was put on him. But I got nothing but love for LeBron. As long as he's not playing my Raptors, I'm going to be rooting for him. And the older he gets, and the dominance that he keeps doing, it makes me want to root for him even more. And Twitch and all the haters that he has on Twitch makes me want to root for him even more too.
I think true fans, you might have hated him with the whole Miami thing. I get that, but I feel like true fans appreciate him now more than they did before.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And it just like if you're telling me that people didn't hate Jordan coming to play their team, obviously they turned up to watch, but I'm sure people hated Jordan back in the day because he was a nasty competitor and a perennial MVP on the best team of all time. So I mean, I'm sure people had a lot of ill feelings that were then 20 years later they look back and like, damn, I was lucky to be able to watch that guy play basketball. But boys, we've done a gauntlet here, an hour and 15 minutes. I really appreciate you guys doing all this incredible NBA talk, and I definitely want to do more of these panel podcasts. You guys are going to be on my speed dial list any of these sports ones. But the last thing that I want to do here, because you guys are doing me a huge favor by being on the stream, is give you guys a chance to kind of tell us a little bit about your channel, the vibe of what you got going on your channels. So for anybody who's in here and is just getting to know you guys, you can kind of do a little plug for what you're trying to build over there. Maybe we'll start off with BigSov up top. Sov, tell us a little bit about your stream. What's your main directory that you're in?
Well, I stream Madden all the time. We're gonna be switching over to MLB soon, towards the end of the month.
Let's go.
We listen to fire music. Always chilling with the boys in Discord. It's a good vibe over there.
Let's go. Shout out to BigSov, man. So he's going to be, participating in 2 different directories. I mean, I'm going to definitely be watching a lot of the show. I don't know if I'll buy it this year, but I know as soon as like April comes, I'm going to be itching, and Madden's going to be really bad, and I'm going to want to play MLB The Show, even though I suck at it more than I suck at Madden. So guys, shout out to BigSov. Definitely drop him a follow. I'll drop his link there in the chat. DK, tell us about you, man. You're always grinding on, and you do a whole lot of different stuff on Twitch. Tell us about your stream.
Yeah. DK Nice, if once again, if you didn't hear Mr. Murphy D. I normally stream in the mornings, just get everybody's day started or even get everybody through their day. It's kind of like how I've kind of made my name, I guess you could say. Mostly Madden, just chill vibes, not crazy energy, if given, of course.
Yeah. Yes.
But with the off season of Madden, would like to play a lot more 2K, and obviously with MLB coming out, so that's what we got going around.
Let's go, DK. I love it. And I see you playing. You got CFM stuff going on. You got a whole bunch of you got a great community that you built over there over the years, man. And just keep doing what you're doing, because obviously it's working. And obviously the majority of the people in here probably came in from your stream too. So I do appreciate that. You guys all know DK well. My guy KingKov, tell us about your vibe, about your stream, Kov. What do you bring to the table here?
Yeah, man, and honestly, like, it's been kind of different last couple weeks. I made some changes, whether it's like, coming back on like drinking on stream or trying a different game. It's not just Madden all the time, even though it's still 2 to 3 weekend leagues every single weekend. Like, that's not going to change. I'll be doing that shit till August, and then when August comes around for 23, I'll be doing the same type of thing as long as I have time for it.
Absolutely.
But MLB's coming around the corner, man. I'm always down for that. I'm going to be saving that for like during the week, and then weekend league on the on the weekend time, kind of jam packs the whole schedule. And if I can throw stupid stuff, like I played Outlast last week, and that was wild. If you were there for that, holy shit, man, that was some scary times. I got some clips on there that will make you laugh if you got to see them. But we're like 20 followers away from 3K, man. It's been a wild 2022 so far, and I'm just super blessed to be at the point I'm at now and see where it goes, man.
Incredible, man. Love to hear it, Kov, and holding it down for the late night streamers, doing big things over there, man. Love to see your growth. 3K, guys. Let's hit those links that I just dropped in the chat. Let's see if we can get them there right now. If everybody in the chat follows them,
that'd be.
That's 3K. That's 3K off stream. I would love to see that.
That'd be cool. Thank you,
man.
Bro.
Hey, no, of course, man. Thank you. And my guy Lominattii, who, like I said, man, I've known Lominattii from when he got into the streaming thing, but also like TikTok, just killing it on there as well. And you got a lot of interesting stuff going on with your channel. Tell us about the vibe. Tell us about the different stuff you got going on.
Man, Lominattii, a.k.a. Lominattii Drop Bodies. First, I want to shout out Murphy D, Kov, Sov, DK. These are my guys. DK's busting my head open in Weekend League on the early morning tip. That's my guy. These my bros, man. So shout out, follow these. Ever follow me. But I do it for the early birds, 7:30 a.m., 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. That is the schedule. We play Madden squads primarily Monday, Wednesday, Friday, sports podcast Tuesdays and Thursdays. Anytime there's a pay-per-view, we do another podcast on Saturday for the boys. We also do random pop-up streams at night. That's mostly Warzone, some sidecast. But we just here to have fun. Also, if you don't like to talk about like civil rights issues and hear things like that, I talk a lot. That I'm a man of the people. Streaming will never be my number one priority. I work for a nonprofit. I work for the community. I work for people coming home from prison or currently in prison. This is my passion. I just do the streaming thing for fun, to kick it with the boys. But if you want to stop by, chill vibes, early morning vibes, hear me be ratchet, pull up to the stream. Otherwise, just follow these wonderful gentlemen.
Hey, appreciate you, Lominattii, man. That's a great plug right there, man. And you got a lot of really cool stuff going on. And if you're not down with talking about civil rights and stuff, then honestly, what are you even doing on this platform? It's 2022, people. Like, let's wake up here. But Lominattii also part of the Sports Accelerator program too. So I really hope that we get to collaborate on some more stuff, man. And I'd love to pop up on one of your streams and help you out with anything. And that goes for all you guys, man. Like I said, it means so much to be able to reach out to different content creators and have people, respond to DMs and be enthusiastic about doing something. I look up to all you guys. I really appreciate the value that you bring to the community. I'm rooting for all you guys. And if you guys ever need a favor, you guys ever want to collaborate on something, DMs are open. I would love to do that because you guys are some of my favorite streamers out there, man. But appreciate you all for being on the Northern, and let's do it again sometime, man. Thanks so much for killing it.
Of course.
Thanks for having us, man. Honestly,
I
the
appreciate
community
you having me, man.
we would not know what to do with guys like you in this community, man. So honestly, it ain't just about us, man. It's just as much about you as it is us, man. So thank you.
Yeah.